But there's a problem. Our event is starting.
Yes, it is.
I think we're good now.
Well, let's refresh to make sure.
Refreshing.
All right, well, let's just assume we're online.
Yeah, it says so.
Okay, hi GI TV. This is Bob the X-Man Hildebrand, as well as
Bill from marketing.
Well played, Bill. And I believe today it is July 22nd, 2014. I'm on the correct year this time. Now, today we're going to be going over, obviously, I'm returning to the live show. Also, we have the Sultan Antioch recap. And we also have an East Coast Airsoft boot camp coming up, thrown by GI Tactical. And I believe the title on our live show says, and more. So we're going to get to that and more right now. Now, actually, before we get to that and more, let's make sure we are streaming. And it looks like we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, we're good. Okay. All right, so first and foremost, we've got some promos going on the website, airsoftgi.com, that if you spend $75, you're also going to get a kill rag with your order. Now, I also want to remind everyone to make sure to sign up for that GI account because you're going to also save 2% rewards back on top of all the other promos that you're going to have already available. Now, what's great about that is that I'm pretty sure we're the only company in the industry that does the 2% rewards back, and honestly, that adds up over time. And in fact, Daniel, the head of the marketing department, was there for a number of occasions where people come in and they had no idea they had so much money accumulated in rewards points with us. They were able to get extra BBs, extra gas, extra magazines. In fact, I believe one time Daniel told me the guy had so many rewards points, he was like, oh man, I can get a sidearm.
Yeah. I think he bought like an ATP or something.
Yeah, he just had that much accumulated. He had no idea. So make sure to sign up for those GI accounts. The guest accounts that allow you to purchase really quickly don't record those 2% rewards points because we don't save the information for your security. So make sure to sign up for those GI TV or GI accounts. Now, also, I want to mention the boot camp coming up on the East Coast. It's being thrown by GI Tactical. What's really cool about this is that it's all about growing the next generation of airsofters. This boot camp is meant for 10 to 18-year-old players. Now, what it's going to consist of is that for one-day event, it's going to be $35, and it's going to include an MRE lunch while deployed in the woods. If you guys aren't familiar with MREs, they're essentially meals ready to eat. Now, they've got quite a bit of calories in them, which are hopefully going to burn off during the day's event, but it's good to get acclimated to those because there's a really good piece of kit to have, especially for disaster preparedness or emergencies. Now, this event is going to happen July 28th, 2014, obviously. So that's basically this weekend, and it's going to go from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at X Zone, Virginia, which is a great field to have an event at. They're great folks, and also they give a lot back to the community, which is one of the big reasons why we continually work with them. So make sure to check it out. It's also, the event is going to be at max 50 players strong. It's going to be about 10 five-man squads apiece, and you're going to learn a lot of different things, like your basic kit, like your loadout and structure for missions. You're also going to have silent communications, squad movement, concealment, which is really important, especially in a field environment with woods. Also, operational planning for both offense and defense, which is very useful to have when you're going to an operation and you're either assaulting or defending. And you're also going to learn a little bit about weapon deployment. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about how Airsoft is played on the field, make sure to check out the Airsoft GI Bootcamp. It's a great way to grow the community. You can also meet some new friends there and just learn a little bit more about Airsoft. I believe that's available on both airsoftgi.com and gitactical.com. So sign up before the sign-ups go out of stock. Okay, so other things to mention is the fact that we've actually put something in the description for this live show. There's a really cool field in, I believe, Midland, Texas, that is trying to grow the field and make it possible for airsofters to play there. So we put a link in the description to their Indiegogo account. You can check it out right there. There's a short video you can look at. I believe it's 2.5 minutes long, where they explain what's going on and why they're requesting funding. And just check it out so they can so you can help grow the community out in Texas. There's already a lot of airsofters out there, but there are different communities that don't have the airsoft field that they would like to have. So this is a great way to support the community. So click on that link, check out the Indiegogo page, and if you can or feel willing, donate to their project.
The Korean barbecue's catching up.
Yes, it is. Okay. Other things to note is that if you haven't checked out the GI Tactical website already, especially if you live on the East Coast, this is really important because the GI Tactical website is more of a resource for you folks on the East Coast to let you know, one, what we have available in store at GI Tactical, and also mainly so you can order directly from GI Tactical and get your gear, guns, or anything else that you need for your weekend operation or weekend war ahead of of time or just in the nick of time for that weekend war. And essentially how it works is that if you order from GITactical.com, you're going to get your products between 1 to 3 days shipping depending where you are. And it's basically going to be a lot closer because we're shipping from the East Coast, so we can get you those products quickly enough in case, like, let's say, you know, you're about to go to, like, let's say, an American Milsim event or a John Liu operation on the East Coast, and you need more BBs or you need something else that you're not going to get in time, you can order for GITactical.com, and if you order ahead of time or if you live in a certain area, you're going to get that before the operation. So make sure to check out GITactical.com, and one of the features that I like a lot about that website is the fact if it's not in their inventory, which does happen from time to time because it's just, you know, it's a real world, if it's not in their inventory, it'll say, if it's in the AirsoftGI.com inventory as well, it'll say available at AirsoftGI.com. So you can click on that or head over to AirsoftGI.com and you'll be able to get it right away. So another thing to mention is that there is an event going on this weekend on the West Coast called the Syndicate Airsoft Appreciation Day. It's going to be this Saturday, July 26th. Is this Saturday the 26th?
Is it? Yeah, I think it's the 26th. Yeah, that's the 26th. This Saturday.
Okay. So this Saturday, July 26th. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to be from 9 to 4, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Code Red Airsoft Park. Now, Syndicate Airsoft is obviously throwing this as an appreciation day for all Airsoft players. I believe we're sending some folks out.
I'm going to be there.
You are going to be there. Airsoft GI Bill is going to be there.
Come say hi.
Now, you're going to be giving out swag and raffle prizes, right?
Yep, we are.
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. One thing I want to mention, though, they are going to be using all the fields at one time. So if you've ever been to Code Red, you know how awesome a lot of those fields are? Well, they're all going to be combined into one super field. I'm just actually excited to watch. So I'm going to be mainly there, man, in the booth, talking to you guys, seeing how everything's going, you know, making sure you're enjoying your day. But I'm really excited to see how everything's going to unfold on just a massive scale. They're looking at somewhere between 300 to 400 players, so it's definitely going to be a very large game that you will not want to miss.
That's a good point. And I actually have a correction really quick, just because I was a little confused earlier. The Airsoft GI Boot Camp by GI Tactical staff for minors or beginners is happening on July 28th, which is a Monday. I want to be clear with that. It's on a Monday, and that's mainly because, well, a lot of folks are off for summer break. Essentially, the players that we're looking for, the 10 to 18-year-olds, are off for summer break. And also, our GI Tactical staff, I believe, that's some of their days off. So they're going to be able to be out there and help you train and help to grow your experience within the sport of Airsoft.
Very nice.
All right, so July 28th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at X Zone, Virginia. Get the tickets online. Okay, other stuff to mention. We actually recently got some new scars into the inventory. We got some Wii scars. But what's really important about that is that if you're in the market for a scar, at AirsoftGI.com, we have a lot of options. And what's great is that the more options, well, basically the better choices you the consumers, are going to have. So if you want something in a certain price bracket, you can take a look at that. But generally, if you're looking for a scar, go to our website and just type in scar, or perhaps even Mark 16, and you can check that out and see all the different options available. Another thing about options is the fact that we also have burst wizards on our website. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the burst wizard think of it as a plug-and-play MOSFET. You're going to plug it in, and right off the bat, you're going to have the ability of 3-round burst in your gun. And what's pretty cool about it is if you're one of those people that you want to do the 3-round burst, but you want the option of full auto, right out of the box, you hold it, you shoot your 3-round burst. From there, it's about like a half a second delay, which can be adjusted, and it'll immediately fire full auto after that. Like I said, completely adjustable, so you can go anything from 1-round burst to 10-round bursts. I actually personally have one in my M16 because I wanted to make it as realistic to a real one, so I have semi and only 3-round burst. You hardwire it in, it's going to help protect your trigger contacts, as well as a feature I really like is the LiPo protection, where it's going to buzz your motor. What'd I say?
LiPo.
LiPo?
Bro.
Anyway, you have the ability for the LiPo protection. So what's going to happen is when it hits that certain voltage, where a lot of times the LiPos will start getting, you'll have that snappy trigger, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, nyah. It's going to buzz your motor, let you know that to stop shooting so you don't destroy your battery. But that thing's got so many different features. It comes with an entire instruction booklet. It's all programmed using trigger pulls. It's a pretty awesome piece of equipment. And if you buy a gun from us, you can pick one up for $20.
And that's great because normally they cost about $40. So if you know you want the feature, or you know you want to prolong the life of your airsoft gun, you spend the extra $20 and you essentially save $20 instead of the $40. And you'll get that feature on your gun that's plug and play. So it's a really cool feature we're offering. on, I believe, over 300 airsoft guns on our website.
Yeah, something crazy like that. If it's not offered, it's because there's no space.
Yeah, that's the only reason we don't include it in a gun is because if we know it's not gonna work for you. I mean, we're all players here, so we would be frustrated too if we bought a gun with this cool thing that won't actually fit in the gun. That would be really frustrating. So a few other things before we get started with the topics of today's show is the fact that obviously we have the Burst Wizards, but we also have these new KWA 6-pack of magazines in tan. Basically the polymer mags from KWA. We now have different colored versions of them. We already have the 6-packs of the black camo, or just black, and now we have the tan magazines that are available on our website. So if you like the look of those polymer mags, like I do, from KWA, or if you need more mid-caps that look awesome, check out the 6-pack of magazines in tan from KWA, as well as the black ones. They both look really cool. The other thing that I really wanted to mention, which is why I put it on this list, is the fact that we now carry some updated versions of the Under Armour Tactical Valsets boots. Wow. I have some. I have the original versions. I'm still really happy with them. The new ones that came out, I have to admit, look a little bit cooler.
I like them. I actually don't own a pair. I'm going to hopefully buy some very soon. I have Oakleys. I've had them for like 5 years.
Get out.
But I think thing is, in the really hot California weather, all leather boots, even with canvas on the side, like they're great, but they start getting a little warm. So I'm thinking I might pick up a new pair of the Valsets, especially now that I like the new tread pattern on the bottom. They're a little bit narrower, not as chunky as they used to be. And also the fact they're really light. They're like, what, less than a pound a boot or something like that?
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that. And they just got all the ventilation, which, at least for here in California, is awesome. If I wanted to go someplace back east where it's a little bit more moist, or if you're running through like water and stuff like that.
Humid, you mean?
Humid, what I said.
Moist.
Moist.
Just sounds weird.
It's one of those weird words. It's just one of those words I don't like. Moist.
Yeah.
Moist.
Okay, stop it. Man down.
Moist.
Stop it. Okay. All right, so just to list off a few of the features on there. It's got a lightweight design, as Bill mentioned. Each boot weighs less than a pound. It's got increased ankle support, which is really nice. You don't want to roll your ankle. Full-length micro G cushion landings, lightweight TPU shank for midfoot support. Now, essentially, it looks like they actually redesigned a little bit of the tread of the boot to make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more grippy, and also just to give you a little bit more support. So it still has the breathability of the Valsets, which is one of the main reasons why I got a pair. It's very breathable and lightweight, so for Southern California weather, it's great, or any other hot climate you're going to be airsofting in. Like Arizona, like Iceman Gaming said. All right, so for today, we are going to do an assault on Antioch. I'm going to return. I'm here! So Bob returns. We got that taken care of. Okay, so as far as assault on Antioch, it's really good that we have Bill here today because this was the first big event that Bill's been to with Airsoft GI.
Oh my gosh,
and not only did he go, but he also helped basically kind of command some smaller segments. Essentially, Bill would come back to respawn, and I would say, Bill, I need to check on the airport. You take this 5-man group and go check it out. Okay. Yeah, so that was essentially how that happened. And you were also manning the rocket launcher.
That was fun.
Which was very fun. And you were also rocking the minigun on the buggy.
That was the most fun ever.
Yeah. We'd actually had a conversation before when I was talking to you about like maybe saying something cool.
Yeah. I think I said about 5 times. I was like, all right, this is Bill from marketing. All right, gun is hot. And I'm saying stuff like, and all of a sudden, there's probably about 5 times I said it, where I'm just going guns, guns, guns. No, everyone's dead. And I'm like, guns, guns, guns again. And I was like, oh, you're clear to engage. And just felt like saying the most random stuff to myself. I'm sure the driver was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
What is this guy doing? Yeah. No, it's really fun because we had a camera on you and we had a camera on top of the minigun, which looked really awesome.
The footage came out great for it. And it's amazing what a little bit of duct tape will do.
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. And it was honestly, what was really interesting about the event and actually the facility in general is that at GamePod, they essentially are constantly improving. Like, people want to say they're constantly trying to make their facility better. Like, GamePod is constantly doing that. Like, each time we go up there, there's something new. Last time we were up there, they had just added on destroyable buildings, essentially these kits that they could put on any building in the facility. And then you could run up to it with a detonator, plug these 2 audio cables in, hit the button, and it shot up a big batter or a big batch of pancake batter into the air. And what was great about that is they had I told you about this.
I don't think you did.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We had wanted to incorporate into this last game, but one of the sets had gotten the wires torn out the previous day, so we wanted to make it fair and not give either team a complete advantage.
Too bad it wasn't the one like right in the middle and be like, oh, well then there's still one on each side for you to blow up.
No. They only have 2 sets right now, but essentially how it works is, like I said, it shoots the pancake batter up. And what I love about GamePod staff is that they really have the player in mind. And as such, they had actually tested out different versions of powder to see which was easiest to get off your uniform. As you might imagine, baking soda doesn't clean off of a uniform very well. However, pancake batter, and it's gone. So,
wow.
Yeah, we had actually had a gentleman at the last game we had there besides Salt and Antioch. I believe it was my Rebel training camp, and he was completely covered in it, and then he just shook himself around, and it all came off.
Like
so,
a dog.
Yeah.
Just shook off.
That's how it works. So that's what they had last time. And this time they had 3 industrial strength smoke machines.
That was the coolest thing.
So awesome.
It was.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you can attest to this, like when you turn your flashlight or your laser, it looks so much more cooler.
It really does. It was just, I wish we could have had green lasers if only those didn't like blind people.
I did request Bill to leave his green laser at home, and I also put out a message online saying like, hey, green lasers are awesome. Please don't bring them just because they can actually seriously hurt someone's eyesight. And also the previous game, the Rebel Training Camp, there were folks who were using their red lasers to try and like blind the drivers of the vehicles, which is funny.
It's funny, kind of messed up.
Yeah, kind of a bit douchey, but whatever.
Just a tad.
Yeah,
only slightly. Only slightly.
Yeah, only slightly. So actually, I wanted to show you a photo. GamePod had recently put up online a photo that one of their friends, I don't know who or where from, had made a 3D image of the facility GamePod. And it's kind of cool. So let me just try and share this with you guys right here. So this is the vast majority of the facility right there in the upper right corner. You can almost see the edge of the airport, but it's pretty neat. And what's interesting about it is we got a line on what they're going to be doing, hopefully for their next big event there, or at least how they're going to upgrade the field further. And from what we heard, they're actually going to try and put in cameras or LCD screens where they can actually send out the mission objectives to you while you're in spawn. And so you can basically take a look at that, get an overall layout of the field. This is the current map they have right now. Get an overall layout of the field and get an idea of where you want to go or where you need to go as per your mission directives.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. Actually, one more thing. I can't believe I forgot about it. Was one thing that they changed on the field before we got there was the fact that each of the spawn locations, or I guess 2 of the spawn locations, are now fully air conditioned.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot.
Yeah. It was pretty hot outside, which made the inside a little bit warmer. I mean, I was definitely sweating my butt off, that's for sure. But
my shirt turned from tan to brown from all my sweat.
Well played, sir. Yeah, I definitely I have a hat I cannot use anymore.
Oh God, I think it's gross.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The sweat came so far up the cap that it started to turn black and crusty. It was disgusting. So I'm gonna have to wash that hat somehow. And yeah,
you might have to like put it in like a pot and like stir it. And...
Double toil and trouble.
Yeah,
yes.
That thing was really gnarly.
Yes, it was. So I guess we should do more of a recap instead of just crazily going about it. So let me give you an overview of like how the missions were supposed to go first. And if you want a detailed overview, you can go to our blog on airsoftgitv.com. I actually just put up basically the warrant order for the for Salt and Antioch, so you can check it out and see what our missions were specifically. But essentially, the first mission was resource gathering. As you can see on this map here, there's a lot of question marks. Let's see, my spawn was right here, and Milsim Junkie's spawn was all the way right there in the other corner, basically the other air-conditioned spawn. Now, what we're supposed to do for this mission is identify 4 different objective buildings. It was essentially the vehicle bay, the water purifications plant, the small arms depot, and where was the other one? Water purification, food processing. So 4 different buildings. They basically had markers on each of them. That is a clear sign. Wasn't exactly a big sign, but each team would have to report that information back to their CO and mark it on the map. The other more important mission objectives were, since this was a post-apocalyptic theme game, was to recover water bottles and MREs, or meals ready to eat. You recover them, bring it back to the supply cache, and then that will determine how many points you get. what was interesting about it is that Milsim Junkie's team was able to locate 4 of the buildings. I believe my team was able to locate 2 or 3, but I did recover more of the actual water bottles and MRE than Milsim Junkie did, so the points were really close on that one. So that's how at least the first game went, but what was interesting about it also is that the first game didn't have any vehicles. We actually incorporated that into the second and third game, and in the second game, Lazoon, you actually got to get on the guns.
Yeah, I became a bandit. And they gave me a quick run through, like, all right, that's how you control it. Hop in. Okay.
Well, and they showed you and gave you like
they showed me and they let me do a little
yeah.
like test it out, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be be awesome. I'm just seeing like people like wincing, like and I'm like, so I'm just shooting. My bad. I'm a bandit. My bad. My bad. My bad. D.
Okay. But what's cool about that thing too is like it has a faux minigun on top. The barrels spin, but I believe it has a P90 with dual sector gears in them. So it does fire incredibly fast, and for all intents and purposes, it does appear to be a minigun. But it also has a thermal sight on it.
That was really cool, actually. It helped out a lot because like I'd look up and there was fog and everything, so you're like, are those people? And then you look down and say, oh yeah, those are people.
Yeah, because sometimes you couldn't fully
see
through
the fog. Tell. So. Well, and what was the best part was, since I was a bandit, I just got to shoot everybody. It wasn't like I was trying to identify people. I'm just like, oh, person, oh, group of people. Then a herd of people tried to cross in front of me. I'm like, no, not happening.
No. Now, just a quick note, we are going to get into shout-outs later in the show. We're going to try and do the recap of the Assault and Antioch game first, and then go into Q&A and shout-outs. So I see a lot of shout-outs and requests in there, but don't worry, we will get to you guys. Just want to go over the game first. So, as Bill mentioned, for the second game, he was a bandit. Now, what that meant was that the vehicle is going to come out to the field for, I believe we talked to GamePod staff, like it was going to come out for like 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was about I think the game lasted like, what, 45 minutes to an hour? No,
yeah,
or something like that. And it was like, we had it go out a total of 2 times, 15-minute in between each time, and it was out for about 3 minutes.
Okay, so basically 6 minutes of buggy time out there, and essentially you guys would roam around and shoot everyone. You weren't you weren't trying to equalize the game. You're just shooting anyone you saw.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of replicated as if bandits had invaded the facility for a while and just came in to shoot everybody. So it basically kept everyone on their toes because no one really had a way to destroy the vehicles at that point.
Yep, there was no way to blow up the vehicle at that point.
Yeah, so
that comes later.
Yeah, so I was essentially throwing everyone in buildings I could find at that point. But for the second mission, we had a few objectives. It was demolition and recovery for the second mission, and how that worked is basically each team has the objective to destroy the enemy team's supply cache, and the supply cache is where we're dumping the MREs and the water bottles in the previous game, and each team's supply cache was located at least 2 buildings away from the spawn, so pretty close, but not undoable. Now, we did that to basically give everyone who's a hard charger a chance to sneak behind enemy lines and destroy the enemy supply cache. And all you had to do essentially was, basically toss a thunder beam to that building and have it detonate. Because there are many times you can throw a thunder beam and it doesn't always detonate.
Yeah.
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 Murphy's Law. So,
I had that happen.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. I also had one blow up on my belt. That was fun.
That's embarrassing, actually.
It was. I was sitting there, all of a sudden, explosion. I'm with Disposable Heroes, like, the hell was that? He's like, dude, the grenade went off on your belt. Ah, damn it, we're all dead.
Back to respawn. Yeah. So demolition destroyed the enemy supply cache. If I remember correctly, neither side was able to do that. The battle lines were more or less stabilized once we got about halfway through the scenario. And then recovery, essentially control the buildings, each of the 4 objective buildings, the food processing plant, the small arms depot, the vehicle bay, and the water purification plant. And how you control a building, I took a little bit of information from a game I really like to play, which is Warhammer 40,000. I made each objective building controllable if you have 3 players inside that are on your team. It has to be at least 3. But if there are any enemy players inside the building, the building is contested. No one gets any points. So if I remember correctly, and I'm doing all this stuff off the top of my head, I believe the north side, a.k.a. commanded by Milsim Junkie and Spartan 1117GW, I believe they had 2 buildings. They contested another one, and we controlled the 4th one. So they had the win for scenario number 2. And then as far as scenario number 3 is concerned, it is worth note that they controlled the vehicle bay at the end of scenario 2, which is how Milsim Junkie's team got access to the vehicle in scenario 3. So they got access to the buggy, which they could bring out multiple number of times. But we got access to a rocket launcher and 2 sets of C4. Now the C4 had magnets on it, so you could run up and clip it onto the buggy, but you had to actually clip it on there and then turn on the detonator button, which is basically a red LED flasher. If you turn it on beforehand, you basically just blew yourself up. Doesn't count. You're dead. Go back to respawn. So those are 2 ways that we had to kill the buggy, and they had the buggy, which could kill everyone. So we gave you the rocket launcher.
That was a lot of fun.
Right?
Oh, my God.
You got
I want one.
You got some training time on it beforehand, and Daniel got to use it the last game. What were your thoughts on using the rocket launcher?
Oh, the thing, like, I don't even know where to start. Well, when they did the test on it, and that field is, God, how many yards long is that thing? It's almost, I'd say, a football field long. They were able to launch it from the one end to the other.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Like, I mean, it had a little bit of an arc to it, but still the fact that thunk, and thing I want to add, it did have like it actually did recoil.
Really?
Yeah, actually, it was a good thunk. Like, it gave you a good shot. Pretty cool because it uses a CO2 cartridge, which actually gives you 2 shots with the rocket. And what it is, you unscrew the front little grip, drop the CO2 in it, screw it until it's punctured, and then it opens like this. You slide it forward, open, shove in your Nerf rocket, and then close it. It's worth noting that you actually want to position the fins all like curved to the same way, so it actually spins the correct way.
Yeah, that way it'll get that spin. It'll be much more accurate. So.
But that thing, I have to say, it was pretty fun because a lot of people said it looked pretty cool when I'm walking around. I shoot stuff left-handed for some reason, but also shoot right-handed, but I'm walking around with a rocket launcher like this, walking around with a pistol, shooting people, like clearing rooms. And then everyone's all running back like, oh no, there's a buggy! And I'm sitting around the corner, just pop out the corner and shoot it square. Oh, I just popped out of the screen. Shoot it square in the front, and then the driver's just like, yeah, good shot, dude! And then they drive away and like, yes, they got the buggy. I think I killed it twice. I ended up clearing out, like, killing 5 guys in one room with a shot.
Yeah, that's the other thing about rockets that are worthy of note is that at GamePod, they're very good at clearing out rooms. When we first had team therapists out there, they were actually, beyond killing the buggy, they were just lobbing rockets into buildings we had to take because it would kill like 5 to 10 players at a time. So it was really effective at that. Now, another thing about the buggy and trying to kill it was that I gave the 2 sets of C4 to disposable heroes because they were actually really good at destroying it when they were fighting against me at the Rebel training camp. So I obviously knew they were competent in that. And there was actually one time, which I know I got on camera, I just thrown a bunch of players in buildings, like, get in the buildings, we got armor incoming. And then I see the vehicle go by, I was like, damn it, where's disposable heroes? And before I can finish the sentence, I literally see their hand out of a window, and they clip it on the buggy and turn it on. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
So it was literally like something like this, like buggies coming through the center, and it's just like,
clip. Yeah, no, I see the tail fin of the buggy going right through the window, and then a hand come in and clip it on there and turn it on. I was like,
that's awesome.
Well played.
Those guys are a lot of fun to run around.
Yes, they are.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're really fun. They're really nice guys too, and they are pretty super legit. All right, so on to scenario 3 for day 1. Now this one was essentially going to decide the victor for day 1 because. Well, I'll explain in depth right now. The 2 objectives were basically recovering the entry code to the facility and then as well as getting the entry codes to the emergency exits. Now, this is going to set up the game scenario 1 for day 2. Whichever team secured the entry codes was essentially going to win day 1 because the entry codes were worth that many points. Now, the entry codes would leave that team in a starting position inside the building for day 2, whereas the emergency exits, whichever team didn't recover the entry codes, however many emergency exit codes they got would denote how many entrance points they would have from the outside for day 2. So, for example, I believe Arwen's team recovered the entry codes, so they were going to start in the facility on day 2, and they also recovered, I believe, 2 emergency exit codes, which prevented us from getting those extra emergency exits, but we recovered 3. So that meant on day 2, we had the choice of 3 different entrances that we could enter from. If we only secured 2 emergency exit codes, we'd only be able to enter through 2. It was much better to be able to enter through multiple different entrance points because we would have multiple different ways to harass the enemy. As that said, like I mentioned before, Milsom Junkies team, the North Side, recovered the entry codes, giving them the definite points win for day 1. I don't have the exact number right now, but I know that they were probably ahead of us on points for day 1 by, I believe, 23 to 30 points ahead of us. So they definitely won day one, and they were going to start in the building for day two.
The end of day one, the third game, that was intense when they got down to the wire.
Yeah, that was really crazy.
That was when we got back to the spawn and there were 10 seconds left to get in the building.
No, that's actually that's scenario 1, day 2.
Okay. See, it all meshes together in one big giant game of Airsoft. I honestly don't remember what was what.
Yeah, I remember that moment, which we'll actually get to in a second. So. Day 2, scenario 1, the objectives are breach and clear. Essentially, our team, the south side, will be breaching the facility from outside the building, and Arwen's team will be starting inside the facility. And each team has to set up their respawn as the game starts. So essentially, Milsim Junkie got to pick his before the game begins, or began. He actually picked the same respawn he had the first day because it was air-conditioned, and he liked the setup from that position. And as such, I could have picked a couple different spots, but it's weird. Like, I really wanted that air-conditioned building.
Right, because it was nice to go in there and like, chill for a few minutes, but like, get a little ventilation. And the guy's like, all right, you're good to go. And you're like, give it another 10 seconds.
Well, they also had chairs inside of those.
That was the problem. Yeah. I'd sit down and I'd be like, I'm going to chill here for a minute. Give 1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah. So I basically chose the same spawn point we had the day before. And, you know, that was up to us on the day of. I tried to leave it up in the air for the commanders to decide, so that's just how... That's how the cookies crumble.
We just like air conditioning.
Yes, we do. And also, we're not really used to it. I don't think I've ever been to a field where the spawn points are air conditioned at 60 or 65 degrees.
Yeah, I actually went there and it's like 60 degrees. I'm like, oh yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. And also for the players that were like really overheating, like it gave them a chance or a place to like just kind of sit down and like not get dehydrated, or at least, excuse me, just to get rehydrated, because that's really important to do.
I believe they made it also safe. It's a safe area where you can lift off your goggles to let them like defog and stuff like that.
If I remember correctly, you could like bring them off your face a little, but you couldn't actually take them off.
Yeah,
just
something
because
like that thing. I can remember, but they're like, it's a good place to go in there and defog everything.
Yeah. So as far as the objectives for scenario 1, day 2, is breach and clear, and went back to my Warhammer 40K skills for this one. Essentially, each building is an objective. All the buildings, the entirety of GamePod, were objectives for this. So for each building that you have three friendly players in and no enemy players, that team will get points. And what was really interesting is that we were frantically at the end of this scenario. That's a train. Frantically trying to get players into buildings. I was telling Bill, I was like, you see anybody, you get them in a building. Make sure there's 3 people there. I told Disposable Heroes, go down, I believe, what was it, 4th Street. Get as many people in the buildings as you can. Make sure there's at least 3 in a building and no enemy players. So by the end of that game, and here's where that 10-second counter came in.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I had just gotten shot out of a building and I wasn't expecting it. And they said, all right, there's like 20 seconds left. We get to respawn. They're like, there's 10 seconds left. And Bill and I were there with like
full sprint
going to a building, and we literally got in with 2 seconds to spare. And that saved our butt, because at the end of scenario 1, the score was North Side controlled 18 buildings, none contested. And South Side controlled 18 buildings, none contested. So it was a tie for the first scenario. And I mean, obviously there were a lot of people running the buildings, but I was happy we barely got there in the absolute nick of time.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was intense. We get there, you and I are both like
yeah, I took off part of my kit once I got in. I was about to puke.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try and get through this as quickly as possible so we at least get some shout-outs. Scenario 2 was building control the 4 main buildings: vehicle bay, food processing, water purification, and small arms depot. And whoever controls the vehicle bay gets the vehicles for the next scenario. Now, demolition. Each side is tasked with destroying key command and control buildings. Essentially, each side gets a predetermined command and control point. Mine was, I believe... what is that? Let me take a look. Mine was the video shop, and Milsim Junkies was the mini mart. Now, we actually called something on the fly for this one. We wanted to throw in some new vehicles that GamePod had for our use, just for fun. They said, like, hey, we've got a minivan. You can slide both doors open, have people gun out the side, and have people who are in it go out the back, which sounded, what's that called? Really awesome. So we decided to basically give that option for each commander for scenario 2. Now each side was going to get it for, I believe, is about just 5 minutes. So very little time, and we actually had a really creative way to decide who's going to get the vehicles. Milsim Junkie and I agreed to an axe fight. And what was really funny about that is that Milsim Junkie really didn't know that I have over a decade plus experience in teaching fencing. And it was really funny because Milsim Junkie grabbed an axe that they had at Game Pod just for they just have one there for fun. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey, can I use it two-handed?" And I was like, "You bet, buddy." I mean, that's not a benefit. And he walked over, and Stephen Bell was trying to show him a little bit of blade tactics, and Greg Wong came. I was like, Bob's taught fencing for a decade, right? And Milsim Junkie's like, "What?"
What?
Oh my God! So we went out, and I was really worried because I'm known as Bob the Axe Man. If I lose an axe fight, exactly. I'm gonna be so embarrassed. No matter how the day turns out, even if I lose, I'm gonna be so embarrassed if I lose this axe fight. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's worth watching. So you should check it out when it comes out. I'm pretty proud of how I did it.
You did well.
I did well.
You did well.
And I did my trademark move, which as Soap, Maggiore Soap commented earlier, he's seen me do this a lot where when I used to saber fence a lot more regularly, or even, it was just saber fencing, I guess, a lot of people don't expect to get hit on the top of the head. So jumping up, you have a little bit extra reach, so I came up and just tapped him on the shoulder.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He got me a split second afterward, probably about half a second, but I got him first, so that's what matters. So essentially, I got the vehicles first, take that as you will, and we actually took the vehicles. We had a plan to send disposable heroes in the vehicle and hit their command post in the first 5 minutes of the game. And it was really cool as watching them. They basically rolled right up to it, and one of the disposable heroes had the Thunder Bee in his hand, pulled the pin in the vehicle, and just ran in the building and dropped it. And I heard a big boom, and I was just cheering my head off. It was really awesome. What was interesting is at the same time, Milsim Junkie sent a small but elite force up our lines, and we're actually able to use C4 to detonate our building probably about 5 to 10 minutes after that. So once they got their vehicle, they were basically using it to transport different people around the field to take and hold objectives. And I actually acted as a rabbit at one point as a distraction for the vehicle, so someone else could put C4 on it. This guy named Chino, it was pretty fun, but I got shot up pretty bad by Greg Wong. So
that thing was fun to just sit inside and gun out the door.
Yeah.
Even though we ended up getting shot, it was still totally worth it. It's like people screaming and yelling, and then
there was one point we got the vehicle back, and we only had a minute and a half left, and we only had 2 people in there. One guy in the back who was going to deploy, and one door gunner. I was like, "Somebody get in here!" And nobody accepted. So I was like, "Damn it, I'll get in here!" And I sat down. And I left my legs hanging out, which was a poor decision because I saw some BBs go by, and I just tucked them back in to do a whole, what's that called when you sit cross-legged?
Indian style?
Yeah, Indian style. Sat Indian style and was shooting out the vehicle until I got gunned down in the face. In the face!
Good thing you wear a mask.
Yes, I do. And good thing, too. So that was really fun. It was great. It was great to be able to use the vehicle. It was really fun. And I'm really excited to be able to use the van again at GamePod Combat Zone. So for scenario 3, last scenario we have to go over, the last scenario in day 2, and again, another callback to Warhammer 40,000. The scenario name was There Is Only War.
There is only war.
So, nice. So there are 5 objective buildings that had to be controlled to determine the winner for the day. Essentially, it was, let's see if I can just hold this up. There we go. Let's see. So as you can see, we got, wait, where's my finger? Okay, so one building right there, another building right there, another building right there, another building right there, and it's hard to do backwards, and the airport. So 5 objective buildings to hold by the end of the day. We'd actually moved this building closer to here to make it more equal for either side to grab it, because we realized in hindsight that it was a little bit unfair for the side starting closer to the school. Now we also switched up the deployment zones just to make it equal for the folks that had driven really far away who had never played a game pod before. We switched the spawns just so that everyone can have an opportunity to get an opposing view of the field, basically to see the other end of the field they hadn't played on, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that was definitely I don't know, I really liked how we switched to the other side of the field. That was pretty cool, going from the one side and you're like, oh, I see how the advantage changes a little bit.
Yeah,
it was different, because I really felt that we had more of an advantage starting from the other side of the field, because it was a lot easier to take and hold the airport.
Yeah, we were able to get into the airport pretty easily, and also all those different mini malls were really easy to get into and shoot out of. But also, once you got to the school, you were stopped pretty much butt cold right there. So it was definitely tough. But it was, I'm glad everyone got a more full experience of the field by doing that. Now the objectives were essentially hold those 5 buildings, and we'll see how it goes. See how many people. We'll see which side controls which buildings. And at the end of scenario 3, basically scenario 1 and 2 for day 2 were tied each different scenario. So complete tie game. So by the end of scenario 3, I believe I controlled 3 buildings. I believe I controlled the airport and the gas station, as well as the post office. No, actually it was airport, post office, and water purification plant. And the Northside Milsim Junkies team had the gas station and the office. So essentially the vehicle bay and the food processing facility. So I had 3 of the buildings. Milsim Junkie had 2, which put me in the lead for day 2. So essentially the south side won day 2, the north side won day 1, but overall point totals, the north side won. Now, what was crazy about it, and in my view of sports events, I always like close games. In my view, close games are the best ones. The nail biters are the ones you're most excited to be at, and they're the most fun to watch. And this one was ridiculously close. At the end of the entire weekend, the north side had 104 points, and the south side had 100 points. So it was literally only a 4-point difference out of a possible 200, and I think it was 210 points or 220 points. I mean, it was amazing. So I really got to hand it to Milsim Junkie and Spartan 1117 GW for commanding and being excellent opponents on the battlefield. And I would highly suggest checking out their channels. Obviously, the catchphrase for Milsim Junkie is milsimjunkie.com, baby. So you can check that out. Just type in Milsim Junkie. You can also find Spartan 1117 GW on his YouTube channel. It is similarly named, and make sure to check it out. I'm really excited for the gameplay video to come out.
Oh, I am too. It's there. How many hours did we have? Something ridiculous?
Oh god, we had just under, I think, 350 gigs of footage. So I think it was like around 70 hours. I mean, it's some people were commenting. Some people are commenting, like, asking, why don't you guys get all this gameplay footage out, like, the next day? And I think someone on our staff was like...
Yeah, it was like, we have, like, 70 hours of footage.
No, I think we have 8 headcam cameras, 4 gun cameras, 1 UAV, 1 vehicle cam, 1 GoPro you were wearing while shooting in the vehicle.
Yeah, and then our Max walking around with the camera.
Yes, so much footage. So we're happy we're able to at least put out a teaser for it, and the teaser was really fun to watch. And especially at the end, because I think the end was when you were shooting at
the minigun, because I was trying to describe to my father what the minigun was like. I'm like, Dad, just watch this video. And then he watched it, was like, see, that's the minigun. He's like, oh, damn.
That's crazy. I was surprised all those guys charged in front of it.
Yeah, I was like, dumb.
You guys are dumb. You're dumb. You're so dumb. You're dying. You're dumb.
The only thing that's difficult with that thing was because there's like no light on the turret itself, it's really hard to trace the BBs and know exactly where they're going. So with the camera, you're like, all right, this camera's center, so we'll just kind of like...
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Here we go.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they had like a flashlight or a laser or something.
Yeah, that'd definitely help. How about an IR laser since it's IR?
Get out.
Why would they get out? That's awesome.
I don't know. No, that would work if... actually, it would probably show up on the thermal cam.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If it's IR, it should throw
infrared,
on thermal, right?
Well, we'll have to check that out.
I don't know.
Honestly, like, I think it'd be better to have a laser on there just because, like, if I would be scared poopless if I came out and then I see the turret turn around and I see a laser on my chest, be like, oh my god,
it's like
I give up. I give up.
Those modern in the Modern Warfare games when you could place like the turret in multiplayer, how to have a laser.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Patrick McCoy mentioned it's 2 full days and you could sleep over. So yeah, I would. We actually tried something new. Working with GamePod Combat Zone staff to have an actual sleepover between day 1 and day 2. We're selling camping tickets on our website. I believe we sold just under 100 of them. And it gave people an opportunity to camp out on the field to save some money in lieu of buying a hotel room, to actually camp out on the field. And it also included dinner on the night of the first day of Assault in Antioch and breakfast the next day when they had Team Bacon catering.
Oh, that bacon was so good.
Yeah, Daniel came over and was like, I need bacon and sausages for 4 people. And he just came back with a pile. And it was so good. So I believe actually Team Bacon will be catering all further GamePod events from now on. So look forward to seeing them out there. The great folks, and I really like their baked beans. That was delicious.
Those were good beans.
Those were very good beans.
Hey, mister, guess what I had for breakfast? What? Beans! Billy Madison?
No, I got. I just wasn't expecting it. Yeah. So that's as far as the recap for Assault on Antioch. It was a lot of fun. There's actually a lot of crazy moments that are worth sharing that we've actually already talked about in the meantime. But would like to answer some questions, and I have some stuff to show you that I was using at the event. So let's see if there are any questions that we can get to. All right. Shout out for Team United Ops. Your shout out is approved. Leland White, you're being shouted out because you're cool. Nice. Okay. Can I get a shout out for SCAK, Airsoft from Norway? Your shout out is approved. All right. If there are any other questions, we will definitely go into those, but let's see.
I think there was one about that.
Oh, is there one about that?
There, yeah.
Bob and Bill, in your opinion, buy a new Elite Force TAR-21 or upgrade my SEMA AK? That's interesting. You know what's weird? I was making fun of TARs recently, but it really wasn't because TARs are bad. It's just because it's the first gun that popped in my mind. But I kind of want one now because I have been watching and rewatching the new RoboCop movie. And
oh my god,
we watched it.
Yeah, we watched it twice, and then we listened to it twice on the drive home.
From Assault on Antioch, because I had the red box copy of it, so I brought it with us. And I gotta say, I thought I wasn't gonna like the new RoboCop movie, but it's pretty dope.
It was really awesome.
Yeah, and they use a lot of TAR-21s in that movie, and I was really tempted to pick one up because I've got a lot of StanAg mags, and it takes
because America. Why not? Well, actually, it'd be because Israel.
Yeah. And I've actually seen, it was actually 2 years ago at SHOT Show. An IDF trooper was actually showing me how to use the new the Tavor, and the way he was manipulating the gun. I was like, damn, you can see why they designed it like that, and I wish I could fight it like that. Good lord, you're good at this. So really cool gun. I definitely wish I could have one in the future. Actually, side note that a lot of you probably will never have heard about unless you're watching the live show this far in. But now that you have that helmet on, Bill, why don't you tell us why your chin was orange the entire week?
Oh my god. Okay, so some fun little fact on these chin straps is it's like a fake leather that they dye, as you can see, this nice brown color. Well, if anyone saw any pictures of me from Antioch, it looked like I dipped my chin in Cheetos.
I was going to say some awful chili, but yeah,
that works too.
Just orange,
but it was just a perfect orange, all around. So it dyed my beard, or it was bad. But I did like wearing this helmet. It saved my head quite a few times. Got domed a few times, but glad I was wearing it.
Yeah, it's good you don't have the vent holes and you don't want to get shot.
Yeah, I know, because apparently told me stories about people getting shot through those holes.
Yeah, no, we have a fellow we used to work with that got shot through there. Bisma Allen, can you give just a bit more info on the CZ3A1 Scorpion? We can. We're hoping to get another model back so we can do some more extended testing on it. Basically, the day that we were able to get that video out was the same day that we got it in, and we were able to have a limited amount of time to test it out, which is how you saw that video. We tried to go into as much detail as we could, but we're waiting to get more. We're basically waiting to get any in stock so that we can not only sell them, but also do some further testing on it to make sure we get you guys the most amount of information possible. Shout out for AoA Airsoft in Idaho. AoA Airsoft in Idaho, your shout out is approved. Bob, will you ever attend Birgit Events game in Sweden? Yes, I want to. I'm just scaring up the funds right now to be able to do that next year. I thought I saw a question about a Polymer XCR, which I would totally recommend getting. Getting the Polymer XCR is a great way to save on money if you can't afford the full metal one. It's also going to be a lot more lightweight, obviously. But yeah, if you can't afford a full metal XCR, a Polymer one is a great way to go. And also, it's great to have options.
It is.
Yeah,
it always is.
Options are great.
I do like options.
Okay. Bob, could I send my gun in that I think is broke to fix it because it shoots way left after 10 feet? Yes, I would highly suggest you check out our GI Tech service. What I would suggest first is call our customer service line and find out the exact process, because the last thing you want to do is just send it to us first and then assume that it'll get taken care of. You have to let us know ahead of time, and the best way to do that is by calling our customer service department. You can find the number for that at the top of our page on airsoftgi.com. They're great folks. They're very knowledgeable about airsoft. Generally fun to talk to as well. I used to work in the customer service department and had a lot of fun. Yeah, that's right. We both worked there. You were there since the beginning of your tenure here, and then moved over to purchasing, moved over to marketing.
Yep.
And then moved over to fluffing. Okay, so all right, and furthermore, I want to show you some gear that I was wearing at Assault in Antioch. I was actually testing out 2 pairs of Mechanics gloves. I don't know why I put one off. There we go. This is Mechanics Originals in multicam. Thank you, Bill. They're very comfortable. I generally use Mechanics Impact for the greater protection, but this gave me a little bit more dexterity and also the extra cool look of the multicam. They're really great. I honestly, ever since like 3 years ago, I've been pretty much only using Mechanics gloves. I love them. They're really affordable. They're very, very good for airsoft, and honestly, they're actually good for a lot of other stuff you can do. Like if you want to use them on the ranch or the range, they're great for that. And I also noticed a lot of people using them for mechanic work.
I was going to say, there's a reason they're called Mechanics.
What do you mean? That's connected?
No.
I didn't. Oh my gosh.
It's funny, I used to watch, when I would watch drag racing on TV, there were these guys because the car would do the burnout and there would be like specks of like old rubber on them. So these guys would call them the chipmunks. They'd be wearing like the big Mechanics ones, but they'd be going like this on the tires as the car's rolling back, rubbing off all the rubber.
Wow.
It's really fun. If you ever watch drag racing, watch for that. You're like, oh, there's the chipmunks Bill was talking about.
Oh, I don't want to say any other things about people who do similar stuff on the farm. It's going to be really gross. All right, so another thing I wanted to mention that I'm really happy with is my HK45. This is a great gun. Obviously, it looks really cool. Let's not dispute that. But also, a couple of features I would like to take note of is the contoured grip. One of the main reasons I like using this is the fact that it actually feels like an extension of my arm. It doesn't feel like there's really a break between arm, hand, and pistol, which is really great. It's been hard for me to find a gun like that that has such a comfortable pistol grip to hold. And on top of that, something that I have found invaluable that was actually told to me by a good friend is the fact that these mags hold around 28 rounds, and that's substantially more than a lot of other pistol mags out there. I believe with the upgraded magazine on the KWA 1911, it holds around 21 rounds, but with this you're going to hold 28 rounds, and that is substantial because there were many times during Assault in Antioch and a lot of other games where I was shooting and shooting and shooting on many other pistols, I would have already run dry and had to transition to a new mag, but because it's an HK45 and because it looks badass as well, I was able to keep shooting until I had about 8 or 10 more rounds downrange. So this has been invaluable. I've been using this for quite a while. I've gone through many favorite pistols. Most recently, my favorite pistols were the KWA 1911 Mark C series, as well as the Elite Force 1911 TAC, which is CO2, which I still love. But lately, I've been mostly using just this because of the extra ammo capacity, the comfortability, and how cool it looks. And I also have my name on the bottom, which I don't know if you guys can see that. It says Axeman.
Dude!
Yeah.
What?
So,
No.
Okay.
No.
I had a good friend of mine do that for me.
Oh, I was like, no.
No.
Let me see. I see what you mean about that.
The grip, yeah. It's pretty awesome. So we're reaching the last 8 minutes of live show, so I would like to do some shout-outs. Specifically, the Big Froy is saying, Bob, shout out to Terra's Finest, please. Terra's Finest, your shout-out is approved. And thank you for the patch. That was a really cool patch. Award, actually, for the last 2 scenarios at GamePod Combat Zone for Assault in Antioch because it fit well into my body armor and also looked pretty cool. So very well played, and thank you for the patch. This is a good question for both of us, Bill. Michael Marsh, do you prefer two-tone guns or all black guns?
You want to go first or you want me to take it?
Yeah, you can go first.
You know, I used to be an all-black gun kind of person, but if you've ever seen my M16, it's technically two-tone.
OD green and black.
I do OD green and black because, I don't know, I've never really been much of a person that likes tan. As you can tell, I like black.
Yep.
Black.
All your body armor is black.
All my body armor is black. I wear whatever the team color is underneath. But I personally kind of like the two-tone guns now. My magazines are even OD green. So, like, I run black gun with, like, green accents and then green mags.
Interesting.
I just want to use the word accents.
Yeah, I'm judging. Yeah.
You judge all the time.
I do, quietly. I actually have come around to two-tone guns as of about a year and a half ago when Mark from the marketing department was, yeah, I make that joke a lot. Was using a bunch of his two-tone guns, and I had to say they looked really cool. And then we got some CM18s in, some Combat Machine Mark 18s. Those basically came pre-two-tone, and I like the look of them. And after that, I was kind of committed to trying to two-tone some of my guns. So I actually put a lot of tan furniture on my LM4 to get the initial job of two-toning it done, but I'm going to do some more custom work on those, or on that LM4 just to make it more two-tone. So I think we both basically agree that two-tone guns look pretty awesome, no matter which way you do it, black or tan, black or green. I've never seen a tan or green one. So hopefully, I don't know.
That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm not fully sure if I would get behind that, but we'll see.
It doesn't matter what you want. What matters is what colors you prefer.
Oh, good Lord. Susan Young, your shout-out has been approved. All right. Shout-out to Dylan Stewart. Your shout-out's been approved. Shout-out for Extreme Complex Airsoft in Rhode Island. It's been approved. All right. Go Hard, Ride Hard Airsoft, your shout-out has been approved.
Isn't he, like, always here?
He is always here, and it's great to see him back again. Would you recommend the G&G Turbofan for goggles? I asked about fogging before and then found this. The G&G Turbofan, if I'm thinking about the same product, it works pretty well. I try not to rely on fans as much for after a specific circumstance. I had a Line Claw 6 a long time ago where I had some goggles with an integrated fan. I actually had I'd set the fan from turbo to silent mode, and even then, I was literally hiding about 4 feet away from an enemy player, and I was really hoping to hide a little bit longer, but they actually heard my fan. Yeah, which was kind of embarrassing because I wanted to see, but I also didn't want to be seen. So
that was your problem.
Yeah, that was my problem. Yeah, but so it's tough. I try and get the thermal lenses on my face mask or goggles because that dual pane lens is generally going to cut down on the vast majority of fogging you're going to have. And I will say though, the fans are a good option if you're having some extreme fogging and don't know what else to do. But I generally always go for the thermal lens first and foremost. I haven't had many other problems where it fogs up beyond that. I've basically just had problems where I bend my mask down and sweat drips off my face into the mask.
Yeah, I had that. Although I will say the Desert Locust Revision Desert Locust goggles, I was running those at Antioch, and I was starting to get a little fogging issue. What I found is, for those of you, if you have those goggles and you have issues with fogging, remove the foam. Because the foam just acts as a sponge, and nothing, like the moisture doesn't get through it, all gathers. Because as I was peeling off, I was able to squeeze it, and just sweat was starting to drip off of it.
That sounds delicious.
It was. But once I took off all the foam, I was getting a lot of ventilation on the inside.
That's good, and that's an interesting option. But you want to make sure that there's no room for BBs to get in there.
Oh yeah, no, they have it. It's a great.
Oh, okay.
It's a great design. There's no way BBs. That's why I was like, because it was the GamePod staff that told me about it.
Oh, okay. Matthew Sigrist. Please forgive me if I'm not saying your name correctly. Matthew Sigrist, you were getting your shout out. Approved. All right.
Yeah, Bob, it's a rubber that seals against your face.
Stop it. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions to answer in the last 3 minutes. No, I think Daniel gave up on that one.
Okay.
Actually, this is one that was asked earlier. Jonathan Dinwiddie. Awesome last name. So what are your opinions on custom race pistols? Do you want to go first?
You go first on this one.
I've actually seen a fair amount of custom race pistols for Airsoft somewhat recently. I think they look cool. Obviously they're a little bit more ostentatious because they use a variety of different colors, and they basically call attention to themselves on the field. What I'm surprised I haven't seen really yet is people taking out the custom race pistols to actually airsoft with, because it's all about target acquisition, putting rounds down range accurately. And I would figure that a lot of those little features you add onto the race pistol would probably be somewhat functional in an airsoft environment. Like having that actual knob on the slide to be able to rack the slide a lot faster.
A red dot.
A red dot on there, enhanced magwell. Like all of those things are things that I would think would lend themselves well to competitive airsoft, or at least like recreational airsoft where you want to put rounds down range accurately. So I hope that some more players get the race pistols and not only use them for target practice, but also take them out to a field where they can legally use them, in that like they're not shooting 500 feet per second. So I hope I see more of them out on the field. I think they're really cool. We've done some pistol shootouts here before that were really fun and got my heart pumping. Your thoughts?
I like them. They're cool, but the thing is, I don't think I would ever take one on the field because at the price of how much a lot of them cost and stuff like that. I know how I am. I've had pistols fall out of my holster as well, sprinting, stuff like that. So, like, for me, I run a pistol as a secondary. It's really I have to clear out a room, or my main gun went down, which happened a few times at Antioch. We're like, Bill, you have a pistol, right? Yeah. Use it!
Get out there! Jeez!
So, I really like them because, I mean, I feel like they are a piece of art. They really are, like, you know, especially like some of the stippling is like perfect and all that stuff. I'd like to see more of them, but me personally, I would probably never use them because I know myself and I would probably drop it and break it.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing. And that's the other thing. Some are a little bit hard to fit inside a holster, so that's another reason why some people don't take them. But I mean, you could also take them out to like pistol night at any local field.
Oh yeah, then you should be fun because you're holding it the entire time. Put a 1-point sling on your pistol.
Oh, stop! Oh my gosh.
Just drop it.
One other thing I like to mention, I mentioned these Mechanics original multi-cam gloves earlier. I also had the chance to take out the Mechanics 0.5 millimeter high dexterity gloves. They're basically the ones I had were in black. And what's really cool about those, they're designed obviously for more dexterity, but also to be able to use your phone or an iPad or any other digital device, because basically the vast majority of gloves will prevent you from using that effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually tried to get out a tactical phone call to Jason Hills, but I wasn't able to because I actually got shot at in the middle of trying to open up my screen. I was actually able to get the screen open because I had the high dexterity gloves on, and then my building started taking fire. I was like, oh my god, blah, 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 and I completely forgot about the phone call.
You should have just been on the phone shooting like you're Jack Bauer.
I wish I had, because I told him I was going to, and he really wanted to get a phone call in the middle of a firefight, and I blew it. So
I tell you, that place gets really loud when there's like that many people and that many BB squad. Especially because I was wearing those Impact Sport headphones that actually amplify the noise a little bit.
Yeah,
it was extra loud for me. But when the Thunder Bee went off on my belt, I'm glad I had them.
That's probably for the best. Liam Haggerty, your shout out is approved. Let's see if we got any other shout out to Cleveland Indoor Airsoft. Cleveland Indoor Airsoft, your shout out is approved. All right, we are reaching the tail end of our live show, so 2 more shout outs. Joseph Crane, your shout out is approved, and shout out for the University of Portsmouth Airsoft in the UK. Your shout out is approved. Indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us on July 22nd, 2014 for our live show. I know Bill and I are really happy to be able to be here with you guys, and thank you for watching us. We hope to do many more of these live shows to come. Once again, I'm Bob the X-Man Hildebrand, and this is
Bill for Marketing.
All right, that's it for live show. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I don't know. We gotta.